2, Matt Gaetz, this is your career calling. Matt Gaetz, line 1, this is law enforcement calling. Matt Gaetz, line 3, this is Vladimir Putin calling. Hello there. Interesting news today. Welcome again from the Queen City, the Radio City, and welcome to the party. Well, folks, a line we all thought that we would never hear before has been said. Matt Gaetz has pulled out. It's the first time for everything. Yes, Matt Gaetz's attempt to become our Attorney General has been aborted. His throbbing anger, his breathless ineptitude, and his just downright silliness has failed. We talked about this a lot. Matt Gaetz is a person who is well hated among Republicans as well as Democrats, and there are institutional forces that were lined up to stop him. This is why I had recommended a little while back that we just have Democrats get up a la Animal House and march out. Just walk out. Have a press conference ready, have a camera ready, have young women who've been victims of assault ready, and destroy him. Do what Republicans would do. Don't worry about precedent and collegiality and all these things. Those are not synonyms for fascism. So what you do is you destroy him. But the key is you destroy him when you walk out to a camera, because you tell him you're not going to even dignify this man with a hearing. Why would you? You're not going to give somebody who has never tried a case before, or is being investigated for numerous felonies, who's a security risk. I mean, there's a million other things. Remember when he broke into the skiff and he exposed some of our secrets potentially? Do you think the man's not had conversations with Vladimir Putin to be called? The guy is a risk, and he's a terrible human being in so many ways. Oh, I forgot the drunk driving. They should have come out with a big poster of that. But this is just a sort of entree. The overall point here is we can win, and we did just now. And we don't even have to do anything. In fact, sometimes it's better if we don't. I got attacked by some people on the left for this, as I tried to explain. You see, there are still divisions in the Republican Party. There are still a couple of people that have a little bit of dignity. In the Senate, I'm mostly thinking of just Lisa Murkowski. Again, Susan Collins will put on her shocked face and often do the wrong thing. But none of Mitch McConnell tells her to do the right thing. And in this case, I think he did. Mitch McConnell is not our friend. He is an enemy of democracy. He's an enemy of decency. He's an enemy of all that is good. But the truth of the matter is that when King Kong and Godzilla fight, you just kind of let them fight, don't you? Maybe even encourage it, right? Maybe chuck a little bit of chum in front of both of them, hope they attack each other. And that way you get a shark show up and maybe a battery. And then Donald Trump comes. Okay. So what have we learned here? We can beat these guys. There are all these divisions within their own party. And if you learn politics and you learn how to win, you do it by helping to divide those that are already divided, anger them at each other, find the issues that tear them apart, find the personal things that tear them apart. Stop being nice. And again, there are a number of Democrats in the House who've learned this lesson, but we need a party transformation quickly. We need to all get on the same page as our loudest Jasmine Crockett's and Eric Swalwell. We cannot have people who are just sitting there sort of saying, oh, well, we'll give him a hearing. No hearing. He's not qualified and he's a criminal. No hearing for Peter Hegseth with his Nazi symbol on his arm and his rape. No hearing for RFK Jr. Thinks if you use Adderall, you're just going to prison for 10 years. And thinks that Jews are uniquely somehow immune to COVID. And thinks that, I guess it just was reported to the government. Our own government started to. I mean, we can go on and on. It doesn't really matter. In the end, he's a lunatic. Oh, and by the way, there's also Tulsi Gabbard, who we've been hearing about for years and her connections to Russia. Again, and there'll be more like that. Look, some of them like Marco Rubio and Stefanik and others are going to get through. And old gravel pit herself. She doesn't take, she's not too busy taking Cricket 2 electric boogaloo to the gravel pit to put it into her head. She'll be Homeland Security. But we can divide and we can win. And this is how you do it. You fight hard and then you know when not to fight hard and let them fight each other. So that, my friends, is all I got to say for today. Well, all I have to rant for today. And now we can get on to the business of, well, the business of discussing all of this. I think our friend Tony is going to join us in a little bit. And I have a guest who is going to join us, who's been a very smart Democratic communicator. And he's been a communicator on everything from human rights to gun safety to the Innocence Project, the Innocence World, which is something that is sort of after my own heart. I was on the board of the Ohio Innocence Project for about 7.5 years. I think we freed, and we being a big group, small cog in that, about 20 something innocent people over 1,000 years or so they'd served. So we should be joined by John Hudson mid-hour, who has done all of this. But we are joined now by that Ozarkian Polish wonder, the kielbasa of the world. The eighth wonder of the world.
The eighth?
The Ozarkian kielbasa.
I wouldn't put me as the eighth. Don't give me that much credit. You know you're just going to inflate my ego. I'm at least like 12th on the list, right? There's got to be a few more before me that are wonders.
Yeah, I believe that. So I just did my rant on what you'd expect. I don't think you would hear it, but you may have liked. I had
to go take a leak in the women's bathroom. So.
Oh, that's right. Well, I'm actually going to do that a lot from now on, but not in normal, not in just regular spots. I'm going to make sure to go to purposely conservative spots. Like I'm going to go to all the local Baptist churches because I assume they support Republicans. I'm just going to walk in and use the women's room.
Gotcha.
We'll see what happens.
I've only got a few minutes, but what subject were you ranting about?
Well, I my opening line was, that we actually just saw something that we thought we would never see. Matt Gaetz pulled out. There's a first time for everything, Tony.
Well, I actually believe that Matt Gaetz probably operates on the pull and pray method. I would say that that's probably what he does. And then if it doesn't work, then he just goes to plan B, probably is what he would do, even though he seems to be against smortion, if you want to call it that. But he clearly would not be.
I talked about that too, by the way. I talked about the fact that, sadly, I think, due to his throbbing anger, his attempt at being AG.
Why are you making him phallic? You're making him phallic.
I want to make everything because he's a rapist. I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Well, there's that.
I thought a man who seems to think about nothing but ways to prey on women and is just sick. God, I want to say that word. I thought that I would.
I won't say it because I'm on your show. I think I slipped up yesterday with one F word. I don't know.
I already screwed myself, I think.
Oh, did you really?
Well, what I said was I was talking about RFK Jr., that bastard, and I said something that rhymes with Movid, which is something that he didn't believe in. And you know how they nail you here for that. So
you gotta say he's he's pro-germ. You gotta say he's pro-germ.
That's what I usually say. He's pro-germ, or he doesn't like the flu shot, or something like that.
Right. Something to get the point across without the YouTube knocking on you. So the one thing I want to say is that. I'm glad that even though the left kind of distracted from this conversation yesterday that has really culminated into Matt Gaetz withdrawing because he was threatening Republicans and threatening Republican safety of the Nancy Mace thing. I want to talk about that for a second since I was joking about going taking a piss. And I went through this on my show, and you guys can go watch that again. But the way that they bait our side and they bait us into these WWE storyline things. Of course, if we know that, which we know that now, we could take advantage of that. And, I want to see Sarah McBride, because Nancy Mace wouldn't put biological on a sign on top of the women's restroom. What I want to see is a picture of Sarah McBride standing in the men's restroom at a urinal, hiking up her skirt, taking a leak in the urinal. That's what I want, just to show them.
I would love it.
Just to show them who the.
No, but it's not just to show them you get how to play this game.
Right.
Which is, and look, I let myself get baited into it in times last time around too. But I think more often than not, instead of getting angry, I just mocked them. Right. So someone like Megyn Kelly would make a remark. It wouldn't even matter what she said. I just would say to her, just as long as you make sure your doors are locked in case Black Santa Claus comes down the chimney. You may remember she infamously got fired from NBC because she said Santa Claus and Jesus were both white, and that going in blackface was okay. You mock them. You just have fun with them, and you do stuff back to them. Nancy Mace is one of the most cretinous characters that has. I mean, she even distinguishes herself among the people who were there. She was one of the people, like the ones who ended up voting for impeachment. I remember Pete Meyer was one of the others that on the day of January 6th went on the news and condemned Trump and said how horrific it was and a threat to our democracy. She originally ran as a moderate, and she did what it reminds me of Stefanik, who also was a complete moderate.
I use the words, I described her as an attention whore, is what I described her as.
But she's an attention whore via MAGA, via doing things to purposely own the libs, to get in people's faces. And so the way you respond to that is, if you try to respond to that by playing on a level, thank you, by the way, Todd Ogsfaken. Is there something I'm missing there? Because there's got to be something cool. I'm probably. That's it. I'm gonna be demonetized just for saying your name.
They're baiting you. They're baiting you to say their names so your broadcast gets demonetized. You guys are gonna put more names up like that just to screw with me,
jerks.
You jerks.
Thank you for the gifted. Thank you for the gifted membership. And the original one that was given to me earlier, I will have to find that I put up on the screen while I was doing. Just a reminder for the future. The first 5 minutes, I'm going to jump in and do my thing. So. If you want me to do a shout out for you, I can't do that.
They're always in the starred column, by the way. Do you see live and then starred? You see starred? All of them are right there in that starred column. Look at that shit. They automatically go
as we're going.
Live. We're gonna do it live. We'll do it live. That's how we do it here.
That's Bill O'Reilly. So M. Simpson, new member. Thank you. Okay, Tony.
But again, back to the imagery of Sarah McBride absolutely owning them, where she's in the men's bathroom. Like, hey, if you want me to pee in the men's bathroom, fine, I'll pee. I am here to represent the people of Delaware, no matter where I have to take a leak. Whatever it takes for me to represent them, I will do that. And I will prove to you that I am willing to do that. And she just goes into the men's bathroom like Nancy Mace wants her to, because that's what Nancy Mace wants her to do. Remember, Nancy Mace wants her to walk in, hike up her skirt, whip out her big old dong, do a big old dong contest with these other Republican congressmen, because we're know they're like that, and stand at the urinal and take a leak. That's what she wants. Give it to her. Give it to them, and let them freak out online that a woman is standing at a urinal with a bigger package than the Republicans.
They're not happy, as many people have pointed out at Blue Sky, lately. Hey, look, Mr. WW, thank you for the gift there. And I assume you'll be up to your usual self arguing with other folks in the comments. So you'll make it lively and fun.
Yeah.
But I do very much appreciate the gift and your being here. The truth of the matter is that all these sort of MAGA types have been trying to come over to Blue Sky because with so many folks having left Twitter, and studies have been done on this, right? That the vast majority of right-wing trolls suffer from some sort of antisocial personality disorder, narcissism, sociopathy. A lot of them are classic sadists was the thing. They enjoy making other people suffer. So you don't let them make you suffer. You laugh at them, which is what my response has always been, is to laugh at them, enjoy, and again, I've screwed up sometimes and let them get to me. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but the thing you can best do is laugh at them and then do the thing that annoys them. Don't even respond. This is how I always took debates tut, which is if I went out debating a Republican on TV, they could say whatever they wanted, and I would just dismiss it with something along the lines of the Black Santa remark with Megyn Kelly. I'd be like, oh, look behind you, it's Black Santa, run, and just mock them, and then I would start insulting them. Don't take their point seriously, because it's not being said by a serious person. So you need to communicate that, I don't care what you say, Nancy Mace. Here, watch this, and hike it up, and just make her lose it. Now, I don't know that Sarah McBride. The problem is, obviously, I'm sure
she's a serious person. She's a serious person.
I'm sure she's a terrific person, and she was going to represent her people. But we do have people, and again, this is not the Congress I'd want. This is the Congress we have. This is not the politics I'd want. But we are here. We've been getting closer and closer the last 20 or 30 years, and the Republicans finally dragged us across the line with Trump. So it's all reality show garbage. It's all WWE. So the point is, as you've noticed, why do you guys all know who Jasmine Crockett is? You know, why do you know who Dan Goldman is? Why do you know who Stacey Plaskett is? Hell, she doesn't even have a vote. And, you know, she's from the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Right.
House member. She
just basically a placeholder for them, a voice for them.
She rips them, She rips them apart and leaves nothing left of them in the end, and understands that you have to do that if you're going to be covered by today's media and today's social media. Before I go, because I got to get going here. Oh, you're not going. No, you're
not. Before I go, there's some people in the chat are saying that I'm assuming that McBride has a penis. I'm not assuming that. That's not me. That is them making the assumption. That's why Sarah McBride should just let them make that assumption, and she should play the storyline off that assumption. We should play the storyline off that assumption. That's what is infuriating me about the left right now, is they don't understand that we are being baited, and the proper way to be baited is not to have an argument about the facts. Listen,
facts mean, if you go
Nancy
to
Mace, Nancy Mace doesn't care anything about facts, or that you have your facts and you're going to tell her the facts. She does not care about that. The thing that she cares about is the storyline. That's all she. It's WWE. It's WWE.
You go out. You basically go after. You go after her. Like in a personal way that is something she takes pride in, or you just respond with the thing she did. So what you said, first of all, I'm not expecting anybody to actually show their privates, which I don't know that's legal on purpose anyhow. So it doesn't really matter what Sarah McBride's got down there.
Right. We don't care. Right. I don't give a shit if she does or doesn't.
Imagine now standing next to standing next to a toilet in the women's bathroom, hiking up her skirt and winking at the camera. It would drive them freaking nuts on the right.
And the other thing too, I do want to say right before I go, because I'm from the country. Okay, I'm from the country, and as Chipmunk Milk, I'm from dumb fuckers them.
I've gotten a passport to there before and been through. It's nice.
Well, it is nice. It is nice. But as Chipmunk Milk, who is her birthday today, so happy birthday, Chipmunk Milk.
Happy birthday, Chipmunk Milk.
As she pointed out, that country girls know how to stand up and take a leak. They can stand up and take a leak. I've seen it before. I've witnessed before where I'm from. So it is a thing that.
Whereas I'm a city boy and we know how to sit down.
Cliff Schechter, I'm definitely leaving on that note. I am definitely leaving on that.
Space of a New York City apartment, we know how to make sure it doesn't hit the wall.
Oh, okay. Well, it's fair enough. You know how not to make a mess.
When you live in an apartment that's like 2 square feet, sometimes making a mess is the only thing you can do if you don't sit down.
Right.
So, you do it. I just was having fun. All right, Tony, you have to go obviously because you're too important for my show.
I gotta go take a leak off the back porch right now. So everyone,
will you hike up your skirt and take?
Yes, I'm going to hike up my skirt and go take a leak off the back porch.
Hey, all of you out there, remember that time I made the joke about the Putin thing and whatever, and you did it? Get a picture of Tony hiking up his skirt and taking a leak.
Put it all over the internet. Make sure we get this all over the internet. Cliff Schechter, thanks for having me. Audience, we'll see you guys soon.
As always, thanks for being here. All right, so take care, bud. We got about 10 minutes, guys, and you know what that means. Ooh, question time, comment time. Time for any of you that are in kind moods to become new members or give me a 99-cent super sticker. I'm just having fun. So what do we got here? Save it for you. I don't know. I can't get into the back and forth between you guys because I miss so much of it. So I'm going to say happy birthday again to Chipmunk Milk because that's awesome. We'd like to celebrate that. What else we got here, guys? Well, I'm going to have to go to stuff to read to you. We've taken care of Nancy Mace. We've taken care of Matt Gaetz. You know what? There's a question. Is it Gaetz or Gaetz? Is that just a Tony accent thing that he's calling him Gaetz? Because I think it's Gaetz. And that's what I'm going with. Hey, look at that. See? Stepping up. E. Schwartz. Schwartz? I'm going to go with Schwartz. That's a Jewish pronunciation. May the Schwartz be with you. Super sticker. Thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. We appreciate it here. Cliff, I catch you on XM. Where do you catch me? Where am I caught? I missed that. I have to find it. Karen. XM. SXM. Some progress once in a while. Ooh, cool. Whose show? I do go on. Well, I mean, I go on. I don't know which one. I mean, I've gone on with Fugelsang. Good dude. His show's later at night. That can be tough for me to do with the kids sometimes. But I go on Stephanie Miller, which I'm going on next week. I'll be on with Stephanie. Love Stephanie Miller. The whole sexy liberal crowd. Those are my peeps. I love them. They are fun. They're people that know that this is a serious business we're all in, and we need to take it deadly seriously. And yet, that doesn't mean you stop joking along the way and having fun. That's why they are my crowd. Nikki Starnova. Love me some Spaceballs. All right. My Spaceballs reference got me a little bit of love here. And Kelly Starr with a $5 super sticker. Nikki Starnova and Kelly Starr. Those are Starnova and Starr. I don't know if Kelly, if yours was based on Spaceballs, but whatever it was based on, I am thankful. I know I should probably apply like the super stickers. Are they something I need to learn to apply to your avatars or something? I don't know. I'm going to figure this all out. I'll tell you guys again, because maybe you know somebody. I've been trying to hire somebody who's an admin, and I swear it's not because I'm a terrible person. I mean, slightly terrible. No, I think I'm a pretty good guy. A lot of the time, to help me with a lot of admin stuff. Because so if they take the basic stuff away, I could concentrate on like my memberships more, and I can concentrate on expanding this channel more. But I can't do it because I can't get somebody. 2 people backed out the last second. I had too much work to do, and they didn't even spend any time working for me. So it can't be that they hate me. I'm not that dislikable at first discussion, am I? I'm wearing my Bengals shirt today. Carolyn Bowman for the win. I don't care what the Bengals play like this year, and so far, it has not been impressive, but we don't just give up. I will admit I grew up a Giants fan because I grew up in New York City, but the Giants and Bengals, love them both. We'll always wear this hat proudly, and we'll always say we got ripped off in the Super Bowl a few years ago. I don't care. I'm not accepting. There's a conspiracy. I'm not accepting anything else, so let's move on. Seriously, thank you for telling me that. Hello, everyone from Ontario, Canada. Hey, you're from the free country of Ontario. Do you have a really big basement that could fit, say, a couple million people? I don't think so, but yeah, just in case that happened, because that'd be cool. We might have to join you. Yeah, what else do we have? It was reported somewhere that Canada was promised AG when she dismissed the docs case. Well, that's interesting. So she was lied to then. I know that her name had been mentioned, but again, I could be wrong. I don't see her making it either. I mean, the fact that that judges above her rebuked everything she did and said that her judicial knowledge was embarrassing of our law, her reasoning was embarrassing. I don't know if Republicans will want to tie themselves to her. It has to be somebody who at least appears respectable, even if they're a MAGA nut. And there are a bunch of people like that, sadly. They're the more dangerous ones, but she's sort of shown what she is. There you go, Starlene. We have a lot of stars in here today. Starnova, Starlene, Cliffy. I like that. You can call me Cliffy, by the way. It is a nickname that friends call me, and I'm not offended. I take it as a sign of affection that people actually feel comfortable enough with me to like me and know that I will enjoy that. So go for it. What do I have here? I will excuse your Bengals fandom as you are a good egg, but Ravens all the way. Brenda, isn't it enough that you kicked our butts twice? In fact, I was at the game here at home where we were beating you and found a way to lose because the Bengals do that all the time. We had the game put away with whatever it was, 7 minutes left. We were up 2 scores. We found a way to lose that game. I'm trying to remember what happened. I know it was like an interception when we were in your zone or a fumble or something stupid. They're impressive. Clifford Roblaw. I don't like that it's too formal. Look at me. I don't mind the name. Actually, I like it's kind of a classic British name. And so I actually like the name, but I don't like being called it because I feel like it's too formal. And I'm not a formal kind of guy. But yeah, I'm glad. Clifford Douglas Schechter. That would be the full name. And I have a son named Douglas, too, because I wasn't doing anything with that middle name. So I thought my wife and I both liked it. We're like, why don't we have it be a family name? So there you go. Now you know exactly who I am. Boogerman 666. That is a hell of a combo. You're Satan, and you clearly need some nose spray. No, sir, I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. I don't know what that refers to. I just was watching True Detective season 3. It had a lot to do with dolls and kids being kidnapped and really horrible stuff. So I don't know what the reference is there, but it scares me a little bit. I had a bestie named Cliff. He's passed now. Well, that doesn't portend well for me, but I always called him Cliffy. Okay, well, I will take that, and I'm not really joking. I'm sorry about your friend. Yeah, Cliffy's cool. Cliff. I've been called Clifton, which isn't my real name. That's cool. Cliffy. Anything sort of informal you can find to do. And a couple that are rather inappropriate that I won't throw out here. Look at that. My real name is Clifford also. Yes, screams, you're right away. You're the goods. Yeah, I have a friend here, same deal. And you know, it was a popular name once. And by once, I mean around 1650 in England. But over time, it has, in England and Australia, it kind of lasted longer than, you know, the United States. I don't think it had a long run. But you know what? Actually, I kind of love it because I know when people are talking to me, for the most part, I have had a few friends named Cliff, met a few others named Cliff, but for the most part, I know it's unique enough, but it's not like crazy, right? It's not like Moon Unit Zappa. Nothing against Frank, just Moon Unit is, I don't know that I want that one. So it's different without being loony, my perspective. I only know Cliff from Cheers. Well, we would love him, Amy, but he's a MAGA guy. He's been a right-wing Republican forever. I also, you know, and so therefore, even though he does a fun voice in Toy Story, and he also was Cliff on Cheers, and I very much enjoyed that character, I cannot like him personally for the fact that he's a MAGA loon, which I bet he and Ted Danson, who is quite liberal, do not get together for. Actually, wow, Kirstie Alley, may she rest in peace, also became a MAGA loon before she passed away. Did Cheers do it to people? That was my favorite show, by the way, for years. You know, there's some others that have surpassed probably now, but back in the day, man. Hey, Cliff, how about party's over for your outro since you say welcome to the party for your intro? Could do that. So I'll tell you where the references come from. I mean, obviously, welcome to the party. A lot of people brought up Die Hard last time as a Christmas movie. That is where I get that line from. I'm a huge fan of film. And if you guys are cool with it, I am going to expand here the way we were talking about the Bengals. This will be, you know, politics is the majority of what we do, but we're talking about, you know, I see people talking about Ratzenberger and Alley were MAGA loons. Sadly, E. Schwartz, yes, they were. And you know, I do love film. I love music. I love sports, especially rock and roll. So these are things we can discuss here. But I will answer this. I just am sad. I feel like I'm missing so many chats here quickly. When I say the sun sets slowly, the ending, the part there, as the sun sets slowly in the west, I bid you a fond farewell. Any of you ever saw an early movie written by Tarantino called True Romance? A little bit violent, but I think actually one of his best movies, outstanding. Christian Slater and was it not Rosanna Arquette? What's her other one? Her sister. And then you had like cameos by everybody from Brad Pitt to like the guy that played Balky to Tony Soprano to Christopher Walken. Just an outstanding movie. And so Christian Slater says that line at one point, and I always took to it. I just always loved it. But I'll think about that, Beth. Corporate media deserves all it gets. Turn that trash off. Yes, thank you, Jim. Turn that trash off. All they do is hurt us. And so we need to. I have a friend calling me right now. Should I tell him I'm doing a live stream? I'm doing a live stream. Go to my YouTube and join. I'll call later. Let's see if that works. Jasmine Crockett going to wipe the house floor. Kim, PHR Guru, you are correct. That is going to happen. And thank you, Jim, for calling us, for shouting us all out. As I've said to you, Jim, and I'll say again, I should have reached out to you in the middle, in between these things. But for me, folks, if you can subscribe to my YouTube, youtube.com, and it's just a simple @Cliffs_Edge. That was the main place I'm sending folks. Secondarily is Blue Sky, which I'll get, or Jim or I will throw out a link in there. That's the Twitter-like app I will be on for the most part. And otherwise, you know, any new members we love, because I really am going to build that out and make it so there's a whole extra section there. I just need an admin if somebody can help me. What else we got here? Look at that. There you go. Cynthia Rice hooking me up. And we are, I haven't looked, but we're about 3,800, 37, 3,600 away from 100,000. It all changes then. YouTube actually decides you're a real person when you get 100,000 subscribers. Apparently, I get my own marketing person who I get to set up appointments with. We'll see how that goes. That'll be cool. Oh my God, it's John Hudson. I didn't even see him. He may have been there for like years. So I'm going to stop goofing off on all of this stuff and invite in the one, the only, the talented. Uh-oh, can we hear you okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can. There's a little background noise, but I'm okay with it. You guys okay with it? You got to be okay with it. John is worth anything that he can offer us. So I don't know. I could go on for like a year with Jonathan Hudson's resume. Suffice it to say, he has participated strongly and been a huge part of the effort to lessen gun violence in this country, to fight for international human rights, and also for the innocence of those who end up convicted and are innocent. I was on the board, the Ohio Innocence Project here for over 7 years. That's a huge issue to me. I worked with Everytown for gun safety and actually worked with John at Brady campaign doing some stuff. So guns, huge to me. And my background's in international affairs and was just doing a big project. Thank you for the super sticker, JD Christie. A big project on trying to stop an ethnic cleansing in an independent part of where they had ethnic Armenians. And sadly, it didn't happen as badly as we thought it would, which is to say still it was bad and people were forced from their homes by Azerbaijan the day after their kleptocratic a-hole leader, Aliyev, met with a guy named Vladimir Putin, which is shocking to you, I'm sure. But John and I have all the same passions with this stuff. So talk to us, man. What do you think about Matt Gaetz getting his let me say this first. I theorized it would happen from the beginning, and my whole play was it is not going to be because of any one Democrat. The Democrats should get up a la Animal House, walk out, refuse to participate, maybe sing My Country 'Tis of Thee on the way out like they did at Animal House, and let Republicans fight and say, hey, you guys all supported Donald Trump, a criminal. You voted for him. He, of course, has nominated somebody just like himself, a sexual predator and a criminal, or at least in Matt Gaetz's case, an accused, an alleged sexual predator. And while he is a criminal, he's arrested for drunk driving. He's not qualified for the job. He's an unserious candidate. He is a scandal-ridden candidate, and he is being currently investigated for serious crimes. We will not even take part in this process. Have fun. Enjoy. That's what I would have done if I were them. I'm going straight out to a huge mic with other women who have been victimized by horrific men by him. A nice big poster of his mugshot when he was arrested for his DUI, and I would have spoken. That's what I would have done. But I digress. I kick to you. What do you think?
Well, what I know is that Trump was not playing 3D chess with his pick of Matt Gaetz to be his attorney general. In fact, when the decision was made, his own chief of staff was sitting in the back of the plane. She didn't even know that Gaetz was under discussion because they had talked about a short list of possibles. Gaetz was not on the list. He didn't tell his own chief of staff. He gets off the plane and announces on the tarmac, my pick is Gaetz. This is not 3D chess. So stop worrying about, oh, did he pick Gaetz knowing that Gaetz would be rejected so that his other picks would look better by contrast? No, Trump is not putting any level of reflection into who he nominates other than who looks good on Fox TV, who will lick his boots, who is totally loyal to him. And, you know, what was discouraging.
So well said.
Thank you. Well, what was discouraging is that, you know, many Democrats treated this as a fait accompli. You know, as if Trump is a God king, that whatever he declares shall happen. And, you know, many of us were saying, not so fast. Justice rides a slow horse. Let's let this thing play out. Let's be in the fight. Don't give up the fight prematurely. Don't obey in advance, fight with all you have. You can resist. You can organize an opposition. One thing that was disappointing, and it's still disappointing to me, is that no Democrat member of the House Ethics Committee has invoked parliamentary procedure to simply read the Gaetz ethics report into the record. You could do that. It's
I did a rant on this, just so you know. Yep.
Yeah, you have the First Amendment right, to do that. Just read it into the record.
Well, and they have the protection though too, right? They have the protection of the speech. We had David Waldman on the other day, who, I know a lot about congressional procedure because I studied public policy, but he is the gold standard. And the debate, the speech and debate clause, it protects you. You can get up and read this.
It protects you. Yeah.
Right.
You're a member of Congress. What are they going to do? You're advocating as a member of Congress for the public's business. We all have the right to know this information. I mean, the news is reporting today that supposedly there's a second 17-year-old girl with whom Gaetz had sexual intercourse.
There's going to be 160 more. You know how this stuff goes, right? I mean, we've all been here.
If there's two, it's like mice, right?
Right. like with Donald Trump.
There's two, there's a bunch.
Here. No, right. Well, I mean, I don't want to compare women to, it used to cockroaches, clearly. So, but it used to be when they said in New York, I'll compare rapists to cockroaches. How about that?
There you go.
They used to say if you saw one or two, there were 100. Well, if there's a rapist scumbag who's raped one or two women, you can bet that
if he's done it twice,
recidivist behavior. It is recidivist behavior, and there's a ton, especially with abusive men. And there's more of it, so a lot more will come forward. But that's why I said from the beginning. First of all, the all of society, the agreeing ahead of time. What is that? No, you stand up and you fight ahead of time, and you send the exact opposite message. We're going to grind everything to a halt. We're going to make everything hard. We're going to make everything slow. You're going to have to fight your way through molasses to get anything you want through here. And we're going to build up our immune system right now while Joe Biden is still in power. So I said, I'm glad he's putting on all these judges, but I don't know if they're doing some of the other stuff, but people should be getting pre-pardoned who've been threatened. We should be having people appointed to executive positions, on sub-cabinet positions that don't have to be voted on. Hell, if there's a treaty out there, sign it. Anything you can do with just the Senate or the president or just the president, do it.
One thing you mentioned about pardons, I'd like to hop on that. Biden campaigned on the idea of eliminating the federal death penalty, which is a scourge on society. It's been shown that innocent people have been convicted. You know that through your work on the Innocence Project. But even people, who were found guilty of crimes, they still have human dignity. They still have human rights. And the death penalty is an irreversible sanction. We get it wrong all the time. There's a disproportionate number of Black and brown people on death row, and we have such a racially biased and inaccurate and flawed justice system that at this point Biden should make good on his campaign pledge to eliminate the federal death penalty. And here's what he could do. Right now there's more than 40 people sitting on federal death row. He can't do anything about the state cases, but on federal death row there's 40 people whose lives he could spare by commuting their sentences from capital punishment to life without parole. That's an
absolutely
easy thing he could do.
That's what I mean. This is why I love having folks like you on, David Waldman on, because we talked about a number of things when David was on, and I didn't think of that. This is what I mean, to show who we are, to show that we are just, to show that we are right, to show that we care about the public good, to show that we will eliminate these barbaric practices, some of which, is what MAGA is about, and bringing back in, again.
And on the topic of clemency, he could also show clemency for many people who were convicted for cannabis-related activities.
Oh my God! Yes. See, now you're thinking, my man.
Yeah, the public is saying, stay out of our business, federal government, in terms of people self-medicating with, medical marijuana or what have you. people are being convicted wrongly to very harsh sentences, and there's really a strong case for the clemency of people convicted under federal laws. They need the clemency. They need their freedom. They need to be returned to their families. They need their voting rights restored. And that's something that he could do. Biden has been very paltry on his issuance of pardons and his
well, now's the damn time to stop being paltry, because I've been a big supporter. I think he had an incredible presidency overall, and what he accomplished.
He did overall.
From the stimulus bill on to the infrastructure bill, where he used what Republicans needed to bring them along, because they needed some projects of their own. I always point out how I live here in Cincinnati. We are connected to Kentucky. Mitch McConnell couldn't get anybody to fix a bridge or two that were falling down. So you knew Mitch wanted that to happen for his wealthy, donors in northern Kentucky, there's a whole bunch of them there. So I mean, Biden did a lot of that stuff brilliantly. I'm critical when it comes to DOJ. I'm critical when it comes to national security and some of the ways he's handled, or not, in my case, put down his foot with Russia. I think it should have been made clear to them before they even did a damn thing in this election that what we're doing right now with Ukraine, we'd be doing that and much more, and every other thing we could do financially, militarily, short of going to war, which I wouldn't do, obviously, but to help those countries if they did a damn thing to interfere in it, or I hate when I use that word, to cyber attack our election. And
that's right.
So there's that, but it's the same thing here. Use the pardon, use clemency, appoint people in positions where they'll be hard for Donald Trump to get rid of them, embed more people in the federal bureaucracy, get as many judges on there as you can, all of this. Executive orders up the wazoo, which then they have to vote out and get, I think they to get rid of executive orders, don't they need a super majority, I believe? They certainly need a majority. And everything else you can possibly do it. But that
that's the way to handle autocrats like Putin. Yeah, you got to stand up to them. You got to stand up to, the Viktor Orbáns and the Donald Trumps and the Putins and the Xis and the, all the would-be dictators around the world. You've got to be firm and realize that a lot of the time they're just saber rattling when they draw their, Putin changing his nuclear doctrine. And saying, I'm going to go nuclear. No, you're not. No, you're not, because you'd be destroying yourself and your own country. And, it's just saber rattling. Call him on on his bluff. Call them all on their bluff.
They've said that forever about everything. If you've been alive,
That's right.
You've either been alive long enough or studied history, you would know that Stalin and you would know that Brezhnev, particularly Brezhnev, when it came to, these guys threatened a nuclear war all the damn time when we would do something that they didn't like. And Putin has used it a number of times. It's like giving into MAGA, like somebody having a terrorist. If you give in ahead of time to Donald Trump because you're scared of what he might do, you've lost. And you give in to Vladimir Putin ahead of time because you're scared of what he might do. No, he doesn't want to die. He doesn't want Russia destroyed. He's an evil person who wants to reconstitute, if not the Soviet Empire, go further back and put the Tsarist Empire together. He's just not going to do it. And if he chose to use nuclear weapons on us, you could be pretty sure he was going to use them on us for something else. If we can't give in every time he makes a little threat, and again, to me, that should have been part of election protection, would have been making sure to him that the financial, military, and other pain they would go through by our arming people, by our freezing even more assets and everything else. But again, we are past that. What we're not past right now that you've brought up is the pardons and the other things that Biden can do. And the speeches that can be made by Democrats, because courage is infectious. I want the Gaetz report. I'm tired of us being a party of collegiality and of tradition in the face of, we're the conservatives or something, in the face of fascism, in the face of an assault. Get up, use the debate clause, and read the damn report. Get up and do numerous other things. Yeah. Show right away that you're not going to be their patsies. You're not going to sit there and let them push you around. Get in their faces. Use the media to attack them. Go. That's what I have to say.
And you know what keeps autocrats like Putin and Trump awake at night? Putin fears things like rock bands and punk bands like Pussy Riot. He fears independent media that's not controlled by corporations, like Rain TV in Russia was one of the last independent broadcast voices. And so one of the things I'm doing from an organizing standpoint and investing my own personal dollars is more into independent, non-corporate controlled media, like, YouTube channels, like, social networks, like, let's subscribe to, the Philly Inquirer, to the Guardian, to, Mother Jones, to the Sparrow Network, to, some of the people that are out there doing independent journalism, ProPublica, the ones that are not controlled with a corporatist agenda.
Either nonprofit or owned by foundations. Yep, exactly. Exactly right. And then, either independent or nonprofit or owned by, in the Philadelphia Inquirer's case, owned by a private foundation. This is what we have to do. Absolutely. And there's enough there. And of course, now, I had I do my rant at the beginning of the show. The one yesterday was, on what you're talking about, our lack of response to their growing disinformation, their growing, what would we call it, right-wing propaganda hydra over the last 40 years. It's not like this is something new. They started doing this in the 70s. I pointed out there was 1 year there. It was like, I think it was 73, and I could be wrong. I get this wrong, but like where it was like Heritage Foundation, ALEC, like all these things were founded, right? The NRA and it's taken over by hardliners in 77, moral majority in 78. Like, again, we need to fight back against by creating our own outlets. So MSNBC and CNBC, we find out they're being spun off. I mean, MSNBC is a no-brainer, and then CNBC is perfect because the right has also done something where what they've done is they've taken over what have become zombie publications, kept their branding, right, and used them to fool people. Newsweek is not an independent magazine; is owned by right-wing nuts. The Hill is owned by right-wing nuts. Like, these are the things they've done. So why don't we do that with CNBC, which everybody looks at as sort of center-right? We don't need to rebrand it. Just take it over and run with its current branding, but put our messaging in there. I mean, exactly. I hope some of the folks on our side think of that. I really do.
And the other thing that we can do to really put the fear in the autocrats is stand in solidarity with other groups, particularly paying attention to labor unions as a base to organize and build movements for justice, peace, and solidarity across lines. If you have a strong labor union movement, that is a basic foundation of relationships and economic power to basically push back against corporate control. And I think we need to do a lot of
it's essential in any democracy. The question is, here's my question for you, which is, how do you start that organizing from the core, knowing that so many members of labor unions voted for Trump this time, and that some of the corrupt leadership, like at the Teamsters, went for Trump? Like, I agree with you 100%. So my view on labor unions is important and necessary. Most of the sort of economic reforms we've gotten in our lifetime, they've played a role, not in our lifetime, in the history of this country, they've played some role, in sometimes the role. But obviously, we're at a point now where we've got so many of them who are voting against what I would consider their own interests. I don't know how they don't. What do we do to kind of make sure that when we're organizing, we're not organizing for Republicans? I don't know the answer to that.
Well, realize there's often a difference between the base, the rank and file leadership of the labor unions and the people at the top deciding, oh, we're not going to make a nomination. Oh, we're going to go play nice and speak at the Republican convention. But the rank and file membership and some of the locals will depart from that and say, no, we as the local have a different opinion, and realize it's not monolithic. They don't have the support of most of their members in endorsing Trump or withholding the seal of approval for Harris and Walz. I think Harris and Walz are much more in step with what the average union member is all about economically. But that's again another reason why we have to build coalitions and work in solidarity. Work with them stand with them on their picket lines, and then invite them to stand with you at your protests too. And we need to be kind of cross-pollinating the different movements, because really, it's the idea is the one big union. It's one big fight in the sense.
No, that's the way I see
Martin
it.
Luther King saying injustice anywhere is, a threat to justice everywhere.
Right. And I want to be sure, and that's why I'm putting this up, because from E. Schwartz, may be critical of me about, mafia unions, associated unions side with Trump. Please don't come for me with this. I'm not coming for anybody. I swear to you, I am a huge fan of unions. I'm asking the question because I want to organize from the right standpoint. I want to start at the right place, and I'm asking a question because I'm trying to figure out where that is. Obviously, I fully support unions. I just want to make sure we're supporting folks that are coming out and supporting us. And it does seem like above that, Cinnamon had the UAW. Yes, they were good. The Teamster leadership was obviously horrible. That schmuck, whose name I can't think of, and I don't even care. And a lot of local Teamsters ended up supporting, in states and localities ended up supporting Harris. So again, I'm not condemning all of unions. I'm saying, if we want to expand upon union power, I'm asking the question of where we start to make sure that we're expanding the power that will fight for economic rights, because unions are essential, and unions obviously have always been a key part of economic fairness. So they're necessary.
So with any movement, you have to demand accountability of the leaders. If there's corruption, you have to root it out. You can't just say, "Oh, this is a sacred cow. We're not going to touch it. We dare not criticize our own." Hey, it's like somebody on Blue Sky was saying, "Oh, you know what? If the Dems leak the Gaetz ethics report, then the Republicans would turn around and start leaking ethics investigations of Democrats." And to that I say, go right ahead, because
those are the worst arguments. I hate those.
Corruption.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish up. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, we want to hold our leaders accountable for corruption. We're not going to say it's okay if you're a Democrat, it's only wrong if you're a Republican. Hold them all accountable to the same standards. So that's right. Having accountability within labor unions is essential. If you think there's corruption, then hold them accountable and weed them out, because it's too important that we build the unions, build the coalitions, and we have to have the frameworks to hold ourselves and our leadership accountable. So call it out when you see it. Go ahead, go right ahead.
Yep. Yeah, look, we when the Bob Menendez thing went down, we were all like, all right, let's get him out of here, because we don't support criminals. We're not a cult. I couldn't stand Eric Adams in New York long before I'd heard the stories of corruption, but certainly once the conviction came through, get him out. And luckily there's an election coming up where we can do that. Why would we want folks like that? And if it's funny, what you end up seeing happen, it's not funny, it just makes complete sense, is when a member of the Democratic Party ends up becoming corrupt, you will see them eventually end up becoming a Republican, because they're fully accepted there. They're willing to make that trade. So you go over there and you insult Democrats from their side, like Rod Blagojevich, right, is an example, or whatever. Like, they join MAGA because MAGA is criminals are invited. In fact, we actually would rather you be a criminal. We don't want honest people. So you're 100% right. And the same thing needs to happen with unions. And maybe that's it. We need to hold union, leadership accountable. We need to hold union members for if they know of corruption among other members. I just want to make sure again that we get back to that place where people understand the economic importance, and we're not voting on these stupid issues, this red meat crap that the right is throwing at them, that has nothing to do with their daily lives and how you feed your family and how you take care of them and the rest. And so that's all I was asking, because obviously there's numerous groups among which we've declined in support, or we wouldn't have lost this election. And we have to ask that question with every one of those groups. What can we do? Look at that. Jim Williams is awesome, because I didn't even tell him because John, after the Gaetz decision, I decided I had to have a good guest, and I originally didn't even have a plan for any. John, being so cool, agreed to join me at the last minute. And there you go. I don't even have to give you, pull up his bio for you, because Jim's got it. Jim is the moderator of all moderators. No, you all are.
Now, today I'm not speaking on behalf of NACDL, but it is my day job, leading the comms team for our nation's National Bar Association for Criminal Defense Lawyers since 1958. But these are my personal opinions today. I'm also a freelance writer and reporter. You can read some of my stuff and follow me on Blue Sky at John Hudson at JONHUTSON. But yeah, there's a whole lot that we should be doing in terms of accountability and being more forthright and unashamed to stand in solidarity for others. One way that we can win, and one missed opportunity for the Dems in this election, is to speak out forthrightly on the issue of immigration and realize that immigrants are about 5%
essential
of
to our
national
economy
workforce, and they pay much more in taxes than they get from the system in terms of healthcare or other benefits to which they're entitled. And so when you start to forcibly deport, peaceful people who are paying taxes and working hard and making our country stronger, those people are helping to make your eggs cheaper, are helping to make the food that you put on the table cheaper. And they're working a lot of jobs in meat packing plants and, chicken, poultry processing plants that other people don't want. Hard, difficult, dangerous jobs under very bad conditions that a lot of, people don't otherwise want. But when you start breaking up families and forcibly deporting people, it's going to cost billions of dollars to build private jails, private prisons. The private prison industry will get rich off of this. You will get more poor, that your food cost is going to go up. And when he starts slapping tariffs willy-nilly on all these Chinese goods, I've been explaining to people what a tariff is. Somebody in my family was saying, well, this is going to be good because he's going to be making China pay all these tariffs. And I said, no.
Right. Like Mexico paid for the wall.
It's a tax on you. You will pay more for cheap imports from China. You will be paying that as if you are being taxed. So if you're unhappy with the price of eggs now, and that's why you're voting for Republicans, wait and see when Trump has unrestrained tariffs and starts building private prisons and spending billions of dollars to deport up to 5% of our workforce that's basically subsidizing our health care.
Yeah, I mean, I try to break it down to pretty sort of straightforward as you just did. It's really simple, right? You've got immigrants doing numerous jobs in this country, and they're doing them at lower wages. They shouldn't, but that is in fact the reality. Well, guess what? We have a full employment economy. So the moment you deport a whole number of folks, let me start with it's inhumane and horrible. But when we get past that to the economic aspect of it, gee, what happens? What happens to that construction company building the house, right? What happens to those farms? Here's what happens. They have to hire people for much higher wages. Do you think they're going to cut their corporate pay, or are they going to pass on those higher prices to us because they're paying higher wages? Now, you're also raising the price of let's stick with the farm, their products, because you're slapping tariffs on China, and China is slapping tariffs on their farm products. So now it costs them more money because they're the ones in the end who get hit with this. Gee, do they pass that on to us? Or are the companies just out of the goodness of their heart going to say, nah, we'll pay the higher tariffs. It's all okay. They pass it on to us. So if you actually deport the folks he's talking about, and you actually put on the tariffs he's talking about, it literally is a formula for hyperinflation of like the pre-World War II kind, where you had to, I keep saying this, that famous cartoon of somebody taking a wheelbarrow, of like German marks to go buy a cup of coffee. That's where the dollar will be. And, if you know enough about the broligarchs, and you know that their plan, of course, is they would just love to have Bitcoin that they've all invested in become the world's reserve currency. They want to crash the dollar. So it all starts to kind of make a little bit of sense, doesn't it? It's not a conspiracy. It's really right out there in the open. Everybody else suffers and they get wealthier because they suck and they're evil people. It's really just that simple. But I mean, that these guys ran on attacking inflation and are imposing two of the most hyperinflationary measures one could think of. I'd also add, by the way, and I've said this before, who do you think's paying disproportionately the sales tax? Why? It's your immigrants and it's other folks like that. The rich aren't disproportionately. And sales tax often are higher because all these places, because the rich have bought themselves income tax breaks and other breaks. Well, what happens when you suddenly deport all those folks and they're not paying those sales taxes? Gee, I don't know. Well, if you're not paying those, and the local areas that benefit from having them from infrastructure suddenly have to cut the government budget and cut what they're doing in infrastructure, cut the benefits they're giving you. What do you think that does to the economy? Stagflation. Everybody read about the 1970s if you want, because that's what this is a formula for. We would have a recession at the same time as massive inflation. Not good, never good. And that's what they're talking about, because again, they're evil. I don't believe in sugarcoating it. They're bad people. They are cruel. They're greedy. They're often quite stupid. They're certainly ignorant of the way of world history, of the way simple science and statistics work. And they just don't care about other people. They lack all empathy. And that's what we're dealing with.
That's right. There's something powerful in the words you're saying right now. When you're saying, they're evil, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to speak truth to power. Part of how we reclaim our power is using simple communicative vocabulary, naming things and calling things what they really are, which is a reason to tune out of corporate media, which tries to equivocate and pretend everything's normal. There's two sides. Let's hear all the sides. No, there's not two sides to raping underage women and then being nominated to lead the Justice Department and the FBI, as if being a rapist and a sex trafficker is a qualification for that office. There's not two sides. That's evil and non-evil.
Right.
There's not a debate to be had here. So we just have to call things what they are and be reality-based. And so that's why we need to invest in independent media and be, forthright. Some of the my colleagues are saying, "Oh, we have to be extra careful these days what we say on our personal social media accounts." I'm like, no, I'm going to be extra careful to speak offensively, crudely, shockingly, brazenly, abrasively, and always truthfully, speaking truth to power. I'm not going to be silent and, demure about all of this. I'm going to be very forthright and shockingly abrasive, confronting power, head on. That's why, people like Putin, what troubles his sleep is, punk rock girls in the band Pussy Riot. That is what, who has free rent in his head. He worries about people spreading memes and graffiti and rock songs and poetry and, art and stenciling and, movement. He hates that kind of organizing that communicates to regular people in a very direct and visceral way.
Perfectly said. Any kind of organized dissent, especially that communicates to people in a very simple way to explain to them who their leaders are, how awful they are. And again, no sugarcoating. No, I'm obviously the same way, but I've been offensive about who they are for a long time now. So I don't know that I could. I don't know that I can get worse, but I can try, John. I'll try. The only reason I cut down. The only reason I've cut down the curses on this show and I try to get people not to curse as much is because YouTube demonetizes me when I do that, which is frustrating as hell, because I used to start these shows. These folks could probably tell you here a month ago, used to show any one of these shows, I probably dropped about 20 F-bombs, but then I looked and I'm like, why are they telling me I'm only partially able to get ads on my show? And I'm like, ugh, you guys really were going to play this children's game like we have the FCC here? Okay. We have to act like children, and so I try to find ways to creatively curse and creatively say things that they won't pick up on. I succeed sometimes and then I fail sometimes. My last show fully monetized. The one before, they caught me. So you never know. But yeah, the key is whatever words you use, No obeying in advance, no accepting their narratives, no accepting their lies. Again, they're going to try to get in your head and mix you up. It's not just going to be lies in one direction. There's disinformation floating all around. So you're not supposed to know what way is up and what way is down and what the hell's going on. That's when they win. And so you get demoralized and just kind of give up. That's what they want. Yeah. That's when they win.
And realize there's a time for dialogue. For years, I've organized and helped facilitate and evaluate different kinds of intergroup dialogues where there's ground rules for discussion, there's mutual respect, there's trust building, relationship building, talking honestly about hot button topics in order to move from talk to action, meaningful, measurable action with tangible benefits that we can see, touch, and feel. But that's, a formal dialogic structure where people respect each other in the first place. But when it comes to dealing with trolls, like on the internet, right now, MAGA has its panties in a wad. They're screaming about blue sky and all the blocking happening. They say, oh, it's a walled garden. Yeah, we're walling out the trolls. Isn't it beautiful? And you can't come in and play. Because if you're not going to abide by the basic rules of mutual respect, difference of opinion is fine. That's encouraged. We need to talk about our differences of viewpoint. If you're coming from a place of mutual respect and you're trying to dialogue in good faith. But these bad faith actors who are just trolling and distracting with nonsense issues, we need to shut them down, cut them out. We don't have to give them airtime anymore. We don't have to pretend that their nonsense is worthy of consideration.
Yeah, I mean, you always, the rules are, right? I mean, there's an old line, don't feed the trolls. But you don't, the way we would say it in politics is you don't give oxygen to something that otherwise wouldn't have it. And that is a decision people have to make, have to figure out. So there were people who would say, oh, don't give Donald Trump oxygen. My response would be like, he has it already. They're going to report what he says. So you have to understand the difference. Some Twitter egg with 2 followers who attacks you, you block them, or, if you block them, ignore them, do whatever you do. But wasting your time arguing with them gains you nothing and gives them visibility. If it's somebody on the right who already has visibility, that's different. Those are people that I will take on, because then you're in a battle of ideas. If somebody already has hundreds of thousands of followers or whatever it might be, or is in political office, or is, one of these right-wing influencer morons, little incel, I won't go to what I wanted to say there, then you do take them on and you do take them apart. But in general, there's nothing wrong with one. In fact, nothing wrong. It should be, as I said to people, do I say to myself, hey, I want to go out and have some nice Patron on the rocks tonight. We'll have a nice drink with a few people. I'm not going to invite my 5 friends. I'm going to invite the 5 people I hate the most in the area here, because that's what you do. That's what I would do, right? No, the fact that you want to go to Blue Sky and be around like-minded, I don't know, moral, well-adjusted people who don't have psychological issues, social problems, self-loathing, don't hate other people. Gee, why would you want to do that? I mean, I shared when I was talking about the other day, I mean, Psychology Today, you can go just look it up. I should bring it here just to share it at some point. Did a major study. It was a bunch of 5 years ago. I remember when they did it on, I think it was actually, they took 2 major studies, large studies on online trolling. And they all found the same thing. And most of them are coming from the far right, right? The sociopathy, narcissism, antisocial personality disorder, and even the biggest one, sadism, were like off the charts. They said that for the people that troll and sadism, they were almost like mirrors of each other. Virtually almost every one of them has that personality disorder, taking personal pain in other people's suffering. So why wouldn't you block them? I enjoy it, and it just shows you they need us, because that's all. And that's why Tony was on earlier, and he was talking about how you don't let a loser like Nancy Mace, who's just an attention whore, get up there and do what she's doing to try to attack Sarah McBride. You don't react angrily. React by mocking her. React. If I were Sarah McBride, I would. I mean, I find ways to react in ways that get her upset. But don't play into her game. Don't let her get you angry, because she falls. That's what she's trying to do. That's what they're all trying to do. They need us because they're nothing, because they're empty husks. They're soulless. So unless they feel, honestly, they feel like nothing unless they're ruining somebody else's life. So the fact that we're just blocking them and going on with this community of Blue Sky that we're enjoying, they can't stand it, Because you know what's happened at Twitter? They've all started fighting with each other. You know, because that's, again, I'm going to repeat this theory every day I have to. I believe in messaging. As I told my two kids when they were young, we were watching Star Wars, the difference between Jedi and Siths, because they couldn't understand why Siths were attacking each other. Shouldn't they be on the same side? I'm like, no, you see, Siths are evil. They're only loyal to themselves. They're greedy, they're cruel, they're corrupt. So if they can't fight a Jedi, they'll fight the Sith next to them because they'll attack each other. They don't care. Anybody besides them is the bad guy. Anybody besides them, they don't care about it. Their whole life is in service of themselves. And that's all you need to know about people on the right. So let them fight with each other. You know, that's my big speech, which I didn't mean to make.
That's right.
But I can't.
That's right. And when you mentioned Sarah McBride, she's a real hero, you know, from Delaware, the first openly trans member of Congress to be elected. And, you know, Nancy Mace is trying to use this distracting nonsense issue about, you know, bathroom rules. And McBride is, you know, acting with a lot of dignity and, you know, trying to stick to the issues. But for the rest of us, this is a fight where it's very important to come in as an ally to members of the trans community, just as before we were talking about allyship for immigrants. We need to be there as allies for people of color, for trans people, members of the LGBTQ plus community, immigrants, anyone who's being stepped on, women trying to exercise reproductive freedom and their personal health care choices, people being discriminated against because of their religion, whether they're Muslim or what have you, people advocating, nonprofits advocating for the rights of and dignity of people in Gaza. You know, we need to stand up for whoever's being marginalized and and oppressed, because this is how we counter authoritarianism. We build movements, we build coalitions. We're there, we show up for each other. And, you know, we may not understand all about their pain and we have different life experiences, but we can appreciate every human being has their own dignity and their own story to tell. And we can be open to listening to those stories. We can be open to amplifying their voices and help them reach larger audiences and show solidarity with them. If you look throughout many of the civil rights struggles, you know, it's often the people like members of the trans community who get stepped on first. And if we lose the fight there, then, you know, the autocracy and the domineering spreads. So we got to defend people at the margins, bring the marginalized voices into the center.
Everyone stand together. I mean, that's the whole theory behind it. That's what democracy is. The theory is the common good, the public good. We stand together. What is good for all of us, not for these couple of people, these demagogues who just try to harm to increase their own power, their own money, their own fame, their own whatever. And you said it perfectly. Right. I would add to it again. You also message. To me, I believe you message and you mock. Now, Sarah McBride has risen above it and is terrific, and I get it. She's new there, so I understand if she doesn't want to do this. But I would love it at this point if a number of trans women would just go and take pictures in front of walking into women's bathrooms and just sort of wink back at send them to Nancy Mace online. Take a bunch of. I would love it if Sarah McBride would do it. Honestly, if she looked back in a seductive way and just winked and went in. I mean, just mocked her. Because I think that's the way you handle it, is, you know, that would get her and them so angry. And you also, besides mockery, you message it. And already we've had the best message I've seen on this delivered by AOC. They're genital inspectors. That's how you should refer to them. Don't refer to them in any other way. They are and you can play with that, like calling them genital inspectors, and come up with your own thing. You can just say, well, we get why they want to do this. I mean, obviously, Mike Johnson would like to inspect other members' genitals as much as he likes to inspect his son's porn. Would be the kind of thing I would say that would get the press's attention. You know, that kind of thing. There are ways to bring in attacks on them and remind people how weird they are while you do it. You know, but that's what it is you accuse them of being genital. Anything they say, just say, why is it that you feel the need to inspect other people's genitals? Is there something you're missing in your own life? Is it something that we can help you with? I mean, don't let them be on offense. Get on offense. Mock them, message, hit them. Rhetorically, I'm saying.
Yeah, fascists fear satire. They always have. So yeah, we got to use art. We got to use humor as basic, pieces of our toolkit in fighting fascism. They really cannot stand that. And so let's use the tools that they fear. Always speaking truth to power should involve the use of humor, including but not limited to crude humor, where called for.
No, there are times. There are absolutely times, and I'm saying, frankly, just by calling them genital inspectors, I don't think there's anything that's particularly crude about that. We can get a lot worse in how we define that. I think that's perfect because I feel like anybody can use that. You know what I mean? Yep. Yeah. Somebody who's putting it here. This is a classic example from Mac M. There, you've got that classic remark by Jasmine Crockett that rocketed across the world. The 6 B's. Right? It rocketed across the world. A bleach blonde, butch, badly built body. And that was everywhere. And it's because she chose, these are, to steal a line or paraphrase from Star Wars, these are the Democrats we're looking for. Okay? We're looking for the ones that are willing to fight back and understand how to use language to break through and get covered. This is the original. I'm loving doing these now because I get to interact with people and we hopefully educate and we have some fun along the way and we fight back. But originally, my channel was founded under the premise of, Stephanie Miller would always call me when I go on her show monthly, an alpha Democrat. And to me, the premise of this is you can be a good Democrat, care about people, and still be ready to rhetorically kick the bad guys in the teeth and fight back and do it in a way that's funny and interesting enough that people pay attention. Jasmine Crockett's one of those who does that. We have about a dozen in the House, and we need more. There's a couple in the Senate, but we need more. So I think that's pretty close to what I wanted to get to today. John, I appreciate your coming on very short notice because I was going to do something a little different, but then with the Gaetz backing out, we had to have a smart communicator here to have that discussion and others. I'm going to stay here with folks just for a minute or two after you check out just to say adios. But why don't you tell folks once again where they can find you?
I'm on Blue Sky at John Hutson, at JONHUTSON. I'm also on Twitter, but I'm much less active on Twitter these days. I'm moving it over to Blue Sky. And again, this is just my personal opinions today, not speaking for anybody else. Just me.
All right. Well, you have the right to have those personal opinions. And I'll say quickly to Arizona Sunflowers, cool. I'll see you on Monday on Hal's show too. Thank you for being here. But John, awesome. It's been a little while, so it's good to even talk to you in front of an audience. It's been fun, and you're always such a straightforward and really good communicator. So I'm hoping people, no BS, no sort of, wandering over here and there, just straightforward, because that's what we need to do. Simply tell the story. Who are the good guys? Us. Who are the bad guys? Them. Why? We explain that in simple language, and we tell the story. Tell the story that way. Explain, and we mock them and make sure people understand how bad they are along the way, and we will win again. So thank you for being here, and I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, cheers.
Take care, man. All right, guys, we're just a couple more minutes, and I think we will have run our course. I wanted to thank you all for being here. I missed a couple of our folks while that was going on, and Tony taught me this neat little trick. So I didn't get to thank. Who did I not get to thank? Carolyn Bowman for $1.99. Oh, you said you're wearing your Bengal shirt. I did thank you, but that's cool. Booger Man, you twice. Wow. Spaceballs quote. Thank you for the $2 super chats or super sticker super chats. JD Christie, we got that. Mr. Stoner, 2 dude. All right, Mr. Stoner, $2 for Cincinnati Cliff. C-Bus in the house. We love our Columbus. We have our Hell is Real soccer tournament, which I can explain to everybody else next time. RD Hooten, a new member. Thank you. New members are awesome. And Kim, PHR Guru, for two different $2 donations. Biden should do more. Stop Trump by Immunity Act. I've said that a number of times. They gave him immunity. Why don't we, while Biden's doing everything he's doing, use that for some of the things he's doing? And you said later, but we will have companies arbitrarily raise prices. Yes, we will. Companies will arbitrarily do it. They will price gouge. They do that. But you know what? They'll do it even more if we place tariffs on them. They'll do even more if we deport their workforce, if they pay their workforce twice as much. So that's everything I've got for today. You guys have been awesome. Let's keep up the fight. You should be happy about what just happened with Matt Gaetz. It shows what happens when we stay together. Trump is going to pick the worst people because he's the worst person. These fights are winnable. Most of them are. We can't get every one of them, but we can win a lot of them. We can put a lot of dent in his momentum and his power from the beginning. And we start heading towards next year's elections. We have a big one in Virginia and New York mayors and the midterms, and we can start winning back as we did in 2017 and start showing people who they really are. We've done it before. We can do it again. Let's not give up now. Let's say that we're only beginning the fight right now. So thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of this. And you know what I'm going to say. As the sun sets slowly in the west, I bid you a fond farewell.